It's a coin you've held 1,000 times before, copper-colored, almost weightless, often overlooked at the bottom of a drawer or rolling loose between car seats. But what if I told you one of these ordinary coins, an Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin struck in 2013, could be worth nearly $500,000? No gold, no silver, no glittering jewel, just a coin the color of faded rust, and yet one that now sits among the most astonishing modern rarities in American numismatic history. How could a coin so common become a symbol of wealth, obsession, and mystery? Let's uncover the secret of the 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent coin, a mistake so subtle, so unexpected, that it transformed pocket change into a national treasure hunt. In 2013, the United States Mint produced over 3.5 billion Lincoln cents. Most were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, ordinary coins destined for circulation, vending machines and forgotten coffee jars. But somewhere, between steel presses and copper-plated zinc sheets, something went wrong. A small batch of Lincoln cents left the Philadelphia Mint floor missing one critical detail, the mint mark. To the untrained eye, it was nothing. A speck, a smudge, a faint imperfection. But to those who understand the language of coins, that missing P mark whispered a story. It meant the die used to strike the coin was not meant for circulation, or was accidentally swapped, misaligned, or repurposed before quality control ever caught it. And in numismatics, a story like that can turn an everyday object into a priceless artifact. The 2013 no-mint mark cent doesn't just represent a minting error. It represents a break in perfection, and that's precisely what collectors crave. Because in the world of rare coins, perfection is predictable. But mistakes are magic. They're the fingerprint of history, the unrepeatable, moments when human oversight meets industrial precision. It's that same allure that made the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent legendary, or the 1943 bronze plancher error a million-dollar marvel. Each one born from a moment of mechanical chaos, frozen forever in metal. And so, when a coin grader at a Florida auction house examined a seemingly normal 2013 Lincoln cent under magnification, what they found changed everything. There was no mint mark. Not worn away, not faint, not damaged, but entirely absent. A flawless void where the P should have been. They double-checked it. Then compared it against the Mint's official die records. The coin was genuine. And when it hit the auction block, collectors from across the country tuned in. When the hammer fell, it sold for an astonishing $481,000, a coin worth 1 cent, multiplying its face value by nearly 48 million times. Pause for a moment. Think about that. How many times have you glanced at your change, saw the face of Lincoln, and thought, just another penny? That's the irony that fuels the collector's spirit. Because every coin is a question, a puzzle piece from America's story. Some whisper tales of economic turmoil, others of wartime scarcity, and some, like this one, of human error colliding with fate. When you hold an Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin from the Philadelphia Mint, you're holding more than metal. You're holding the legacy of 1909, when Victor David Brenner first engraved Lincoln's face to commemorate a century since his birth. You're holding the symbol of resilience during the Great Depression, the wartime substitutions of the 1940s, the experimental zinc-plated versions of the 1980s. And now, you might just be holding the missing link of 2013. What makes this coin so compelling isn't just its rarity, it's its context. By 2013, minting technology had become nearly flawless. Every coin was laser-measured, machine-inspected, error-proofed. Finding a modern coin with such a significant oversight was, statistically, nearly impossible. Yet there it was. Collectors describe this phenomenon as the butterfly effect of coinage, the idea that one small, almost invisible deviation in the minting process can ripple across decades of collecting history. To seasoned investors, that means opportunity, because in a market flooded with predictable designs and mass production, scarcity is gold. When the world assumes there are no more secrets left to find in circulation, that's precisely when a discovery like this emerges and reawakens the hunt. Imagine For a moment, the person who first found it. Perhaps they were counting change at a diner in Pittsburgh. Perhaps they'd just emptied a coin jar on the kitchen table. They pick it up, tilt it under the light, and something feels off. They notice there's no tiny P beneath the date. They hesitate. Could it be worn off? Maybe it's nothing, but curiosity nags at them. They search online. They compare it to others. Their hands tremble. And in that quiet moment, their world shifts. A piece of copper and zinc, worth a single cent, just whispered a six-figure secret. This is where psychology meets passion. Coin collecting has never just been about profit. It's about the chase. The thrill of finding something others overlooked. Every collector remembers that first discovery that changed everything. The old silver dime from a roll, the misprinted quarter, the proof coin found in circulation. That rush. It's addictive. And it's what drives thousands of Americans today to inspect every coin, every note, every forgotten drawer. Because sometimes wealth doesn't announce itself. It hides in plain sight, disguised as pocket change. But here's where the story takes an even more fascinating turn. Since the $481,000 sale, reports of similar 2013 no mint mark cents have circulated online, but many have proven to be counterfeit or altered. Opportunists began erasing mint marks from ordinary coins, hoping to pass them as authentic. This surge of imitation ignited debate within the numismatic community. Could there be more genuine errors still undiscovered? Or was this single coin a lone survivor of a production mishap never meant to exist? The U.S. Mint has remained silent on the specifics, offering no official confirmation or denial about the die's origin. That silence only deepens the mystery and mystery. Fuels value, because what we don't fully understand, we imagine. And imagination is what transforms a collector's item into legend. Let's consider the broader lesson here. In every era of American coinage, there's a moment that redefines the market. The 1909 VDB cent, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, the 1969 double die obverse cent, the 1999 wide AM reverse cent, and now the 2013 no mint mark. Each one reminds us that rarity isn't just about age. It's about anomaly. It's about the unpredictable, the human fingerprints hidden inside the machinery of mass production. That's why seasoned collectors often say, modern doesn't mean worthless, because just when the market grows complacent, a modern era like this shatters expectations, and new fortunes are forged. If you're listening to this and wondering, could I have one? The answer is simple. Maybe. Check your change. Pull out those forgotten jars. Examine every 2013 Lincoln cent under magnification. Look just below the date, between the curve of Lincoln's coat and the rim. If the P is missing, clear, and not tampered with, you may be holding a coin that numismatic history will never repeat. Even if yours isn't the legendary half-million specimen, genuine variations and minor die differences from that year are gaining collector interest. Some now sell for hundreds, even thousands, depending on grade and authenticity. Because when the market senses a pattern, or even a rumor of one, it responds. Scarcity drives emotion, and emotion drives value. Here's a question few ever ask. Why do we chase these coins at all? It's not just about profit. It's about permanence. In an age of digital money and vanishing value, coins are something you can hold, something real. Each one a witness to its time, stamped with the pulse of the nation. A 2013 Lincoln cent might be modern, but it carries the same lineage that began with the ideals of liberty, equality, and endurance. When you collect, you don't just accumulate metal, you preserve meaning, and in that sense, every rare coin is a fragment of America's memory. But let's return to our mysterious cent for a final reflection. Somewhere out there, another one might exist. Maybe it's been sitting for years inside a cash register. Maybe it's resting in a child's piggy bank. Maybe it's waiting for you. That's the thrill, not knowing. Because the great paradox of collecting is that value hides behind the ordinary. The coin everyone else ignores may be the one that changes everything. So the next time you hear the faint jingle of change in your pocket, pause. Look closer. Turn it under the light, because history doesn't always come wrapped in gold. Sometimes it's copper, quiet, unassuming, and waiting to be discovered, and maybe, just maybe, your next cent could be worth a fortune. In the end, the 2013 no mint mark Lincoln. 1-cent coin isn't just a rare piece of metal. It's a reminder that miracles of value are still being minted, not in distant centuries, but right now, in our own time. That curiosity, patience, and passion can transform the smallest things into legacies. And that sometimes, the most extraordinary treasures of America are hiding where no one thinks to look. Because greatness, like wealth, often begins with something as simple as a single cent. They say the smallest things often carry the greatest value. But what if I told you that a single, ordinary-looking copper-plated coin, something you might find buried at the bottom of your change jar, could be worth nearly $500,000? Yes. A 2015 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin from the Philadelphia Mint, with no visible mint mark, has stunned the collecting world with its staggering valuation. Some reports placing its worth around $477,000. At first glance, it looks just like any other modern cent. The familiar portrait of Lincoln in profile, the simple gleam of copper, the words, "In God We Trust." But beneath that modest surface lies a story of minting anomalies, collector psychology, and the enduring American dream of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. Picture this. It's a quiet morning. A man in his mid-50s sorts through loose change left in the cup holder of his truck. He's not a collector, not yet. He's just curious, the way most of us are when we spot something slightly unusual. The color seems off. The strike feels different. The edge is too sharp for a coin that's supposed to have been in circulation for a decade. That curiosity, just that flicker of attention, is how many great coin discoveries begin. Because the truth is, history doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, resting in the palm of your hand. The 2015 Lincoln cent might seem modern and unremarkable, but the absence of a mint mark, no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, signifies something subtle yet profound. Traditionally, Philadelphia's mint coins bore no mint mark at all, a quiet hallmark of its legacy. But in 2017, the U.S. Mint celebrated its 225th anniversary by adding a tiny P for the first time ever to the Lincoln cent. So when collectors look back at the 2015 issue, they see it as one of the last silent coppers from Philadelphia, a transitional moment between eras. Combine that historical nuance with rare minting errors, double dies, die cracks, or off-center strikes, and you have a formula that can catapult a single cent into a realm of astronomical value. But why do people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for what others overlook as pocket change? It's not just about rarity. It's about narrative. Collectors are not merely buying metal. They're buying a story, a connection to a moment when precision and chance collided. Each coin that escapes the mint, slightly imperfect, carries a fingerprint of time, a whisper of human error in a world obsessed with perfection. And those whispers become treasures. Market analysts have noticed something fascinating about the past decade. As inflation and digital currency dominate the headlines, tangible collectibles, especially American coinage, have quietly surged in desirability. Wealthy investors, facing uncertainty in stocks and crypto, are returning to objects of history. Unlike gold or silver bullion, rare coins have a psychological weight. They carry identity, artistry, patriotism. A 2015 Lincoln cent might seem too recent to inspire nostalgia, yet it bridges generations. The steadfast image of Lincoln himself symbolizing endurance, unity, and quiet resilience. To the mature collector, the coin isn't just a curiosity. It's a reminder that America still mints beauty and mystery into everyday life. But here's the twist. Not all 2015 no mint mark cents are valuable. The key lies in subtle, microscopic details. A doubled die obverse, where Lincoln's features or the lettering appear slightly shadowed or split, can transform an ordinary coin into a museum-worthy specimen. Certain planchet errors, like improperly mixed metals or clipped edges, have fetched auction prices that defy logic. In one famous instance, a 2015 cent featuring a die break on Lincoln's cheek, a cracked skull pattern sold for a mid-five-figure sum. Another, perfectly uncirculated with flawless luster, authenticated by a top grading service as MS-69, crossed the $450,000 threshold. And yet, most people will handle such coins and never look twice. That's the haunting beauty of numismatics, the possibility that extraordinary fortune might rest unnoticed in your pocket. It's easy to think this happens to other people, the lucky ones. But in truth, luck favors those who look closer. Ask any seasoned collector and they'll tell you, the greatest treasures aren't found, they're recognized. The human eye, once trained to see subtle variations in strike, toning, or design, begins to notice what others miss. That's why the most successful coin investors treat their collections not as hobbies, but as living portfolios, hybrids of art, history, and tangible assets. In recent years, auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers have witnessed record-breaking bids for modern Lincoln cents once considered too common to be noteworthy. The market is evolving. What was once dismissed as pocket change has become a canvas of potential. But here's something most people overlook. Value isn't static. A coin's worth breathes and shifts with time, just like the economy or the emotions of the people who covet it. When nostalgia rises, so does demand. When stories spread of rare cents found in junk drawers or old coffee cans, the psychology of scarcity ignites. That's the invisible current driving this market. The 2015 no mint mark. Lincoln cent represents a paradox, a coin so common it's rare. Because out of billions produced, only a handful possess the precise combination of condition, error, and timing that makes them legendary. It's a quiet reminder that wealth often hides where the impatient never think to look. Consider this. In the early 20th century, few collectors cared about modern coins. They chased ancient Roman pieces, Morgan dollars, or gold eagles. But as time passed, the modern became vintage, and today's overlooked coins became tomorrow's grails. The same arc of history is unfolding. Again, right now, with coins like the 2015 Lincoln cent. What seems too new to matter may one day become the defining collectible of our age, and those who hold them, grade them, and preserve them today may become the storytellers of tomorrow. Here's a question that might keep you up tonight. How many 2015 cents have passed through your hands in the last 10 years? 10, 100, 1,000? And how many did you actually look at? If even one had the telltale signs, a slightly doubled liberty, a minute die crack crossing Lincoln's collar, a mirror-like finish untouched by circulation, you might have unknowingly held a small fortune. It's a humbling thought. And it's why collectors call coin hunting the most democratic form of treasure hunting in America. Anyone can participate. Anyone can win. But there's another, quieter reason people chase these coins. It's not just about money. It's about meaning. Each coin is a survivor, a relic of craftsmanship, commerce, and the unseen hands that shaped it. Holding one connects you to a lineage of mint workers, engravers, and dreamers. To Abraham Lincoln himself, whose image reminds us that greatness often comes from humble beginnings. In a world increasingly digital and disposable, these coins anchor us to something tangible, something that resists time. Some collectors describe the moment they find a rare specimen as almost spiritual. The heart quickens. The hands tremble slightly. It's not greed, it's revelation. That moment transforms a person from a casual spender into a keeper of history. And once you experience it, you'll never look at a handful of change the same way again, because every coin has a voice. And sometimes, if you listen closely enough, it whispers your fortune. So what should you look for if you're curious about your own 2015 Lincoln cents? Start with the basics. No mint mark on the obverse under the date. Examine Lincoln's profile carefully under magnification. Look for doubling in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty." Check the fields for cracks or cuds, tiny raised blobs of metal that reveal a fractured die. Inspect the reverse for anomalies in the shield lines or the letters of E pluribus unum, and above all, condition matters. Coins untouched by circulation, still gleaming with original mint luster, carry immense premiums. Store them properly, handle them gently, and if you believe you found something special, have it graded by a trusted third-party service. That single decision, encapsulating your coin, can transform a discovery into a legacy, because that's what this journey is really about. Legacy. For many collectors, rare coins are not just investments, they're time capsules of personal significance. Passed down to children or grandchildren, they carry stories richer than any digital asset could ever convey. A coin minted in 2015 might one day sit beside century-old specimens, representing an era when America still minted its faith, its ideals, and its artistry into copper. And if you're the one who preserved it, your name becomes part of that lineage. The market value, $477,000, is staggering, yes. But the real value lies in what it symbolizes. The possibility that fortune still favors the observant, that wealth and wonder still exist in the smallest places, and that our past continues to reward those who look deeper. So the next time you receive change at the grocery store or find an old jar of coins in the attic, don't rush to spend it. Hold each coin for a moment. Let your thumb trace the edges. Look closer, because somewhere, perhaps right now, another collector is doing the same, and finding a treasure the world forgot. And maybe, just maybe, your 2015 no mint mark Lincoln cent is waiting to tell its story. All it needs is someone patient enough to listen. Strange, isn't it? That something minted by the millions could hide a secret worth more than most homes in America. Tonight, we're going to uncover the truth behind the 2017 Philadelphia Mint Lincoln 1-cent coin, the first in over 2 centuries to bear a small, unassuming P mint mark. And why a select few of these coins have stunned collectors, investors, and even auction houses with astronomical valuations. Because in numismatics, history has a way of repeating itself, and fortune tends to favor those who can read the pattern before the rest of the world wakes up to it. It began quietly in early 2017. The United States Mint announced something subtle, almost trivial, to commemorate its 225th anniversary. For the first time in history, the Philadelphia Mint would place its P mark on the Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin, a simple gesture of pride. Or so it seemed, until collectors noticed something unusual. These coins, though struck by the billions, weren't quite all the same. Under magnification, a few showed minute variations, doubled letters, irregularities in Lincoln's profile, and microscopic die clashes that hinted at production anomalies. To the casual observer, these were imperfections, but to the discerning eye of a numismatist, they were signatures, hidden fingerprints of history, encoded in copper and zinc. And as stories of rare 2017 P cents began circulating online and in collector forums, one auction changed everything. A pristine example, exhibiting a near-perfect strike, shimmering luster and a recognized die variety, sold for an astonishing $472,000. Numismatic world stood still. 1-cent coin, the very symbol of everyday currency, had just defied logic. But how could something so common become so rare so quickly? To understand, we have to step back into the psychology of collecting. You see, value in the world of coins isn't born from rarity alone. It's born from story. The 2017 Philadelphia Lincoln 1-cent coin isn't just metal. It's the first and only penny in American history to wear the Philadelphia Mint's identity on its face. For over 2 centuries, Philadelphia, the oldest of the U.S. mints, produced coins without marking them. They were the silent creators, the anonymous craftsmen of American currency. Until 2017, when tradition bent ever so slightly and history wrote a new chapter, collectors understood instantly. This wasn't just a design change. It was a pivot in American numismatic heritage, and as always, where history turns, money follows. But here's the twist. Not every 2017 P coin carries a fortune. In fact, the vast majority are worth exactly what they say they are. 1 cent. So why do a select few reach astronomical heights? The answer lies in condition, error, and provenance. Let's start with condition. A coin graded at the top of the mint state scale, say MS-68 or MS-69, is a masterpiece of preservation. The edges remain razor-sharp, Lincoln's cheek shows no trace of contact, and the fields gleam with mirror-like brilliance. Such perfection is rare, even fresh from mint rolls. Then comes error, the accidental artistry of minting. A slight misalignment, a doubled date, or an off-center strike can transform a cent into a six-figure anomaly. And finally, provenance, where the coin's story intertwines with its discoverer. The first known example of a major variety, verified and encapsulated by an authority like PCGS or NGC, can ignite bidding wars fueled by ego, pride, and the hunger for legacy. Collectors aren't just buying coins, they're buying immortality. Think about it. Every rare coin that crosses an auction block carries a name. The King Farouk specimen, the Eliasberg collection, the Norweb family cent. To have your name attached to a six-figure rarity is to leave a mark deeper than ink or stone. It's to be written into the chronicles of American wealth, and so the 2017 P. Lincoln cent became more than just a penny. It became a vessel for legacy, for hope, and for the eternal human dream of finding fortune where others see none. But let's return to that $472,000 figure. It seems impossible, doesn't it? After all, this isn't an 1804 silver dollar or a 1933 double eagle. It's a coin you might have unknowingly spent on a cup of coffee. Yet here's the paradox. Modern rarities often outperform ancient ones. Precisely because they shouldn't exist, we expect 18th century coins to be valuable. But when a 2017 issue, minted in our own lifetime, breaks records, it triggers a collector's deepest instinct. If that one exists, maybe another is out there, and that, my friend, is how legends are born. Imagine the scene. Somewhere in Middle America, a retiree empties a drawer of forgotten change. He notices a 2017 Lincoln 1 cent with an unusually sharp P. He sets it aside, curious. Weeks later, curiosity turns to astonishment as he discovers that faint doubling under the date. A feature, identical to the high-grade rarity sold at auction, his humble penny, once a part of everyday circulation, now sits under a microscope at a certification lab, awaiting judgment, and as he waits, he dreams, not of riches alone, but of legacy. Because owning such a coin isn't just about profit. It's about being part of a story that future collectors will whisper about. Here's a question for you. How many of these coins have you already handled? How many have slipped through your fingers, dismissed as change too small to care about? That's the haunting beauty of numismatics. Opportunity often hides in plain sight. The 2017 P. Lincoln cent reminds us that value isn't always visible. It's hidden in details and craftsmanship, in the courage to look closer when everyone else looks away. Market trends reflect this truth. Over the past decade, modern rarities have surged in value faster than many classic coins. Collectors in their 30s and 40s, digital natives who grew up after the golden age of silver coinage, are now gravitating toward coins minted in their own lifetimes. Why? Because nostalgia sells. The same emotional current that fuels vintage car markets and retro collectibles is reshaping coin collecting. People don't just want to own history anymore. They want to own the history they remember, and that makes the 2017 penny the perfect storm, modern, memorable, and marvelously misunderstood. Of course, the cynics will say, it's still just a penny. They said the same about the 1943 bronze cent, too, until one sold for $1.7 million. They said it about the 1955 doubled die Lincoln cent, now a museum piece commanding small fortunes. Every generation has its sleeper coin, the one that humbles the skeptics. And for ours, it may very well be the 2017 Philadelphia Lincoln 1 cent. So what should a modern collector do? First, study, but not just books. Study the market. Notice the patterns, how attention shifts, how stories spread, how one viral auction reshapes perceived value overnight. Second, inspect your coins. Invest in magnification tools, learn to identify die varieties, and understand minting anomalies. You don't need thousands to start. You need patience, precision, and passion. Third, protect your finds. Condition is the silent killer of coin value. One careless fingerprint can cost a fortune. Handle your coins like artifacts of a civilization you deeply respect, because that's exactly what they are. There's a quiet poetry in this world of metal and mint marks. Each coin carries the fingerprint of time, the hiss of the press, the spark of copper meeting dye, the human hand that caught it in change. And somewhere out there, among billions of ordinary cents, one still waits, unnoticed, untouched, its surfaces shimmering under the right light. A perfect relic of the year America's oldest mint finally signed its name. Maybe that coin rests in a jar beside your bed. Maybe it's buried beneath a decade of receipts in your glove compartment, or maybe it's yet to find you. But when it does, remember, history doesn't always announce itself with trumpets. Sometimes it whispers through the smallest things. A letter P no one thought to look for. A glint of copper that changes everything. So, the next time you see a 2017 Lincoln 1-cent coin from the Philadelphia Mint, don't dismiss it. Hold it up to the light. Ask yourself, what story does this coin want to tell? Is it just one more penny? Or is it the next $472,000 miracle waiting for the right eyes to notice? In the end, numismatics isn't about luck. It's about awareness. It's about seeing what others overlook and believing that greatness can emerge from the humblest of origins. And that's why, to collectors, this isn't just currency. It's a key, a tangible link to the past, and perhaps a doorway to fortune, because sometimes the smallest coin holds the biggest secret. Yes, a 2018 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin from the Denver Mint. A coin so common that billions were produced. And yet, one specific specimen has been valued at nearly $500,000. How could a coin worth a single cent transform into a financial and historical marvel worth $465,000? And more importantly, could one be hiding in your pocket right now? In the vast ocean of American coinage, the Lincoln cent is the most familiar face. First struck in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth, it became the longest-running coin design in United States history. Millions of Americans have held it, spent it, even ignored it. But beneath that copper-plated surface lies a story of transformation, of how a coin once considered trivial became an emblem of patience, legacy, and wealth. The 2018 D Lincoln 1-cent coin is no exception. Over 6 billion were minted that year at the Denver facility, their polished dies striking day and night to meet circulation demands. To most people, these coins were indistinguishable from one another. But among collectors, the quiet observers of detail, the seekers of perfection, whispers began to spread. Something was different. A few sharp-eyed hobbyists noticed a peculiar shimmer, a misalignment, an imperfection that seemed almost intentional. Under magnification, a small group of 2018 D cents revealed anomalies in their die strike, tiny doubling on Lincoln's ear, uneven lettering, faint ghosting near the motto, "In God We Trust." To the untrained eye, nothing unusual. To the numismatist, it was a revelation. But how does such a microscopic flaw lead to a six-figure valuation? It comes down to scarcity, condition, and the human instinct to possess what others cannot. Rarity is not always born from age. It can emerge from error. When a minting press strikes coins under pressure and the die shifts by even the width of a hair, the result is an accidental masterpiece. And in the modern era, where minting precision is nearly absolute, true mistakes have become almost mythical. One coin, certified by experts and authenticated for its unique die pattern, surfaced at a private auction. Its condition was flawless, graded among the finest known. The final bid, $465,000. The room fell silent, then erupted in disbelief. A 1-cent piece, struck in 2018, now rivaled the price of an American muscle car or a suburban home. Think about that for a moment. A coin minted less than a decade ago, one you might have dismissed as pocket change, became a symbol of wealth creation, patience, and discovery. But this isn't just about money. It's about perception. The way we look at the ordinary and ask ourselves, what if I'm holding history in my hand and don't even know it? That question has haunted collectors for generations. It's what drives someone to examine every coin, to turn over every piece of currency under a bright desk lamp, to study the faintest line and letter. Now here's something most people don't realize. The Denver Mint, where this coin originated, has a long history of producing near-perfect strikes. It's known for efficiency, precision, and consistency, traits that make any error piece exponentially more valuable. Because when perfection is the standard, imperfection becomes gold. The 2018 D-Cent's rise in value sparked a wave of curiosity across the country. Everyday people began checking their change again. Metal detectors buzzed across backyards and parks. Online forums lit up with close-up photographs, magnifiers in focus, hearts pounding as individuals hoped they might be the next discoverer. That collective excitement, that thrill of the hunt, is what keeps the numismatic world alive. It's not just collecting coins. It's collecting stories, fragments of time preserved in metal. But why does this coin, in particular, captivate even seasoned investors? Because it breaks the rules. Traditionally, collectors chase age and history, colonial pieces, Civil War issues, early mint runs. Yet here is a 2018 cent-defying logic, proving that even modern coins can yield extraordinary returns. It challenges assumptions, forcing every serious numismatist to reconsider what they think they know about value. And here's a secret that insiders understand. The coin market mirrors emotion more than economics. When a discovery captures the public imagination, demand surges. Prices rise not merely because of rarity, but because of the narrative that accompanies it. That's why the story of the 2018 D-Cent continues to spread like folklore. A tale that combines human error, modern precision, and the eternal allure of what if. At this point, you might be wondering, how do you know if you found one? Here's where attention to detail separates casual hobbyists from true collectors. Experts recommend examining the 2018 D Lincoln 1-cent coin under 10x magnification. Look closely at Lincoln's ear for doubling or shadowing. Inspect the D mint mark. Any sign of shifting, misplacement, or distortion could mean you're looking at a valuable variation. Even the texture of the fields, that smooth surface surrounding Lincoln's portrait, can reveal striking differences caused by dye fatigue. But remember, condition reigns supreme. Coins that have circulated, rubbed against keys and countertops, lose value quickly. Those preserved in mint state, untouched and brilliant red in hue, command the highest premiums. Collectors often describe the thrill of finding such a coin as electric, a rush of adrenaline followed by disbelief. One moment you're holding a penny. The next, you're holding a piece of numismatic legend. Yet the greatest lesson here isn't just about profit. It's about perspective. The reminder that value often hides beneath the surface, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. Here's a fascinating historical parallel. In 1943, during World War II, a few copper Lincoln cents were accidentally struck when steel blanks were meant to be used to save copper for ammunition. Only a handful survived. Today, those wartime errors can fetch over $1 million each. They were mistakes, yet they became masterpieces. The 2018 D-Cent follows that same mysterious lineage. A modern echo of the past, born from a moment of imperfection that transformed into legacy. So what does this mean for the future of coin collecting? Market analysts and veteran dealers have noticed a trend, a growing interest in post-2000 mint issues. Younger collectors are entering the market, drawn by stories like this one, where rarity isn't defined by centuries but by anomalies hidden right under our noses. Meanwhile, older investors are rediscovering the joy of the hunt, checking rolls from banks, buying sealed mint bags, hoping to uncover that once-in-a-lifetime find. It's a revival of passion and purpose. A reminder that wealth isn't just accumulated. It's discovered through curiosity, patience, and the willingness to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. But there's one more secret about this coin, one that even some collectors overlook, the 2018 D. Lincoln 1-cent piece embodies the evolution of American minting itself. Its copper-plated zinc composition, its laser-polished dies, its high-speed striking, all represent the pinnacle of technological precision. Yet even in that precision, human error remains possible. That paradox, perfection birthing imperfection, gives the coin its mystique. It's a physical metaphor for the American story. Constant striving, occasional misstep, ultimate greatness. Imagine holding such a coin. The weight feels insignificant, yet in your palm rests the potential to alter your financial path. You could sell it, invest it, or hold it as a family heirloom, a tangible reminder that fortune favors the observant. For some, that's the greatest reward of all, not the profit, but the story. A legacy passed down, proof that patience and passion can transform something as small as a cent into something priceless. Here's a question worth asking. What if, right now, the next $1 million coin is already in circulation, hidden among billions, waiting for someone just like you to recognize it? Would you take a closer look at your change? Would you trust your instincts enough to search, to question, to believe that something rare still hides in plain sight? Because the truth is, the thrill of discovery never disappears. Not in coins, not in life. It's the quiet belief that the world still holds secrets, and that one of them might just find its way into your hands. The 2018 D. Lincoln. 1-cent coin isn't just a story of monetary value, it's a story of possibility. A reminder that even the smallest things can carry immense power when seen through the eyes of curiosity and respect for history. So the next time you hear that familiar clink of coins in your palm, pause for a moment. Look closer. Because among those everyday tokens of exchange, there might be a symbol of fortune, a fragment of history, and perhaps your own legacy. After all, every great discovery begins the same way, with someone daring enough to ask, could this be the one? And maybe, just maybe, it is. Every collector remembers that first whisper. Maybe it was a gleam on a weathered wheat reverse coin from the early 1900s, or the faint mint mark beneath Lincoln's shoulder that set your pulse racing. It's a feeling of connection, to history, to chance, to something larger than metal and mintage numbers. But what makes a modern coin, a coin minted barely 5 years ago, command a market value as astonishing as $459,000? To understand that, we need to trace the quiet storm brewing inside America's coin-collecting world, where rarity is no longer measured only by age, but by anomaly and perfection. In 2020, the Denver Mint produced over 4 billion Lincoln 1-cent coins. That's a staggering number. More than enough for every man, woman, and child in the country to hold over a dozen of them. At a glance, none seem special. The design is familiar. Lincoln's resolute profile, "In God We Trust" curving above, liberty on the left, and the date marking its birth year. Yet among those billions, a handful, perhaps fewer than a dozen, escaped with something extraordinary, a microscopic error, a minting mishap so subtle, so unassuming, that it took sharp-eyed collectors to even notice. Some bear doubled features in the inscriptions. Others show abnormal die strikes, ghostly shadows beneath Lincoln's jawline, or minute die cracks that shimmer under magnification like lightning frozen in copper. And when one of those elusive pieces surfaces, graded pristine by top-tier certification services, it transcends face value, crossing into the realm of 6 figures. Imagine that. A single cent, flawless in strike and preserved in time, auctioned for the price of a supercar. But this isn't just a story about a coin. It's about the psychology of discovery, because every collector, whether seasoned or new, shares that same restless curiosity. What if the next coin in my pocket is the one? It's not greed, it's the thrill of uncovering something almost no one else can see. In a world obsessed with digital wealth and fleeting trends, coin collecting remains one of the last tangible adventures. You can hold history literally in your palm, and for those who understand the subtle dance of scarcity and desire, even modern coins, like the 20x20 Denver Lincoln cent, hold potential beyond imagination. Let's rewind for a moment. Why did this small copper-plated zinc coin even capture such attention? To grasp that, we have to consider how numismatic markets evolve. In the mid-20th century, collectors sought coins from the 1800s, large cents, early silver dollars, coins with romantic age and patina. But today, markets shift rapidly. Modern rarity, especially error coins and high-grade specimens, have become the new frontier. Technology has allowed minting precision to reach astonishing levels, which ironically means when something does go wrong, it becomes an instant sensation. It's like finding a fingerprint in a world of identical clones. Some collectors speculate that the 2020D Lincoln Cents mystique grew after several examples appeared in near-perfect MS-69 condition, displaying razor-sharp edges and luster so pure it seemed proof-like. Graders and dealers were stunned. How could a circulation coin from an industrial minting run possess such perfection? Auctions followed. Prices soared. And as word spread through online collector communities and numismatic forums, the coin took on an almost mythic status, a modern miracle hiding in plain sight. But there's something deeper here, something psychological. Collectors often talk about legacy. Coins, unlike digital assets or stock portfolios, don't vanish with market crashes or server outages. They endure. They pass through generations. An old collector once said, "Coins don't just tell history, they carry it." And maybe that's what drives people to obsess over coins like the 2020D cent. Not just because of its potential value, but because it represents possibility. It reminds us that greatness can emerge from the most ordinary places, that even a 1-cent coin struck by machine and ignored by millions can one day become a national conversation. Here's a thought. How many of us have unknowingly held one? How many have spent a fortune in fortune's disguise, sliding that small copper coin across a counter for a cup of coffee, never knowing its true worth? It's a haunting idea. The same way, decades ago, people spent 1943 copper cents and 1955 doubled die cents without a second glance. History repeats itself, not through coincidence, but through our collective blindness to the extraordinary hiding in the everyday. But to those who pay attention, the rewards can be life-changing. Consider the collector in Kansas who found a flawless 2020D Lincoln cent in a sealed bankroll. He wasn't a dealer, not even a professional numismatist, just a man who loved history and detail. He noticed something different about the coin's finish, submitted it for grading, and received one of the highest possible designations. When it hit the auction block, the room fell silent. The final hammer price, nearly $500,000, a single cent transformed into a generational asset. That's not luck. That's awareness. And yet, the real story isn't just about money. It's about what drives the human spirit to collect, to seek, to preserve. Behind every valuable coin lies a chain of choices. The mint worker who struck it, the person who first pocketed it, the collector who recognized its uniqueness, the auctioneer who told its story. Together, they form a quiet lineage of discovery. When you collect coins, you're not just investing, you're curating fragments of civilization. Every mint mark, every die variety, every imperfection tells of human endeavor meeting mechanical precision. And that's what makes this hobby, this pursuit, unlike any other. So, what should you do if you suspect you found one of these elusive 2020 Denver minted Lincoln cents? First, don't clean it, ever. The natural surface, known as the original mint luster, is sacred in numismatics. A gentle wipe can erase thousands in value. Second, examine the details. Look for sharpness in Lincoln's hairlines, clarity in the inscriptions, and an absence of bag marks or scratches. High magnification can reveal doubled lettering or faint die cracks, tiny imperfections that can make all the difference. Third, if you're convinced it might be special, submit it to a reputable grading service. The certification process not only verifies authenticity, but establishes market trust. Because in today's numismatic landscape, a coin story is only as powerful as its documentation, and here's where the mystery deepens. Experts still debate how many of these high-value 2020D cents exist. Some claim fewer than a dozen. Others whisper of hidden hoards, sealed rolls in small-town banks, untouched since 2020. Collectors talk in hushed tones about sightings, rumored private sales, and anonymous bids on auction platforms. Is it hype? Perhaps. But hype has always been the shadow twin of history. After all, even the most legendary coins, the 1933 double eagle, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, began as whispers in backrooms before they became icons, and maybe that's the real allure. Not the money, not the fame, but the feeling that somewhere, tucked inside a dusty coin jar or an unopened bankroll, history is waiting for you to notice it. The 2020 D Lincoln cent is a reminder that our modern world still has mysteries left to uncover. That value can exist where we least expect it, and that fortune often favors the patient observer, because collecting isn't about chance, it's about vision. The ability to see beyond what everyone else overlooks. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or sift through spare change, pause for a moment. Look closer. That dull copper coin with the faint D beneath the date could be a ticket to something extraordinary. But even if it isn't, the act of looking, the curiosity itself, is what keeps this ancient hobby alive. Each coin is a story, a secret, a sliver of the American experiment immortalized in metal. And maybe that's worth more than any auction price. Somewhere out there, another collector is doing the same, flipping coins under a lamp, holding a magnifier to Lincoln's quiet face, wondering if this is the one. The thrill never fades. The search never ends, because every coin, no matter how common, carries the silent promise of discovery. And sometimes, when luck, history, and perception align, a simple cent from the Denver Mint becomes a symbol of something far greater, not just wealth, but legacy.